Ti Introduction to Public Officer Law. A definition of a public officer. B importance of public officers in governance. C sources of public officer law, constitution, statutes, case law. 2. Qualifications and disqualifications of public officers. A constitutional qualifications, citizenship, age, residence. B specific qualifications for different positions, e.g., president, senator, mayor. C disqualifications, e.g., conviction of certain crimes, dual citizenship. 3. Appointment and election of public officers. A methods of appointment, election, appointment by higher authority. B electoral processes, nomination, campaigning, voting. C certification of election results, commission on elections. IV, powers and duties of public officers. A authority and scope of powers, delegated, inherent, express, implied. B duty to serve the public interest. C specific duties of different offices, executive, legislative, judicial. B accountability and liability of public officers. A constitutional provisions on accountability, Article 11. B administrative and disciplinary measures, ombudsman, civil service commission. C criminal and civil liability for misconduct, abuse of power, or corruption. 6. Removal and impeachment of public officers. A grounds for removal, misconduct, incompetence, violation of oath. B procedures for impeachment, House of Representatives, Senate. C effects of impeachment, removal from office, disqualification from holding public office. 7. Ethics and code of conduct for public officers. A standards of behavior and integrity. B conflict of interest rules. C disclosure of assets and liabilities. 8. Succession and vacancies in public office. A rules for filling vacancies, appointment, special elections. B order of succession, constitutional provisions, statutory rules. C ensuring continuity of government functions. C judicial review of public officer actions. A role of the judiciary in interpreting and enforcing public officer law. B standards of review, rational basis, strict scrutiny, intermediate scrutiny. C constitutional limits on public officer actions. X emerging issues and developments in public officer law. A modern challenges and complexities, e.g., social media, technology. B legislative reforms and proposals. C impact of global trends on Philippine governance. This outline provides a structured overview of public officer law in the Philippines, covering key concepts, principles, and legal provisions relevant to the roles, responsibilities, and accountability of public officials. Elaboration. Certainly, let's delve deeper into each section of the outline. Introduction to Public Officer Law. A definition of a public officer. A public officer is an individual who holds a position of authority or trust in government and exercises governmental functions or powers. This includes elected officials, appointed officials, and civil servants. B importance of public officers in governance. Public officers play a crucial role in the administration of government, serving as representatives of the people, enforcers of laws, and custodians of public resources. See sources of public officer law. Public officer law in the Philippines is derived from various sources, including the Constitution, statutes enacted by the legislature, regulations issued by government agencies, and judicial decisions interpreting and applying the law. 2. Qualifications and disqualifications of public officers. A constitutional qualifications. The Constitution sets forth basic qualifications for holding public office, such as citizenship, age, and residency requirements. These qualifications vary depending on the position sought. B specific qualifications for different positions. Certain positions may have additional qualifications prescribed by law, such as educational attainment, professional experience, or moral character requirements. C disqualifications. Certain conditions or circumstances may disqualify individuals from holding public office, such as previous convictions for certain crimes, dual citizenship, or other legal impediments. 3. Appointment and election of public officers. A methods of appointment. Public officers may be appointed by executive officials, elected by the people through democratic processes, or selected by other public bodies or authorities. B electoral processes. Elections are conducted regularly to choose public officials, including the president, senators, representatives, governors, mayors, and other local officials. These processes involve nomination by political parties, campaigning, and voting by eligible voters. C certification of election results. The Commission on Elections, COMELEC, is responsible for overseeing and certifying the results of elections to ensure their integrity and accuracy. IV. Powers and duties of public officers. A authority and scope of powers. Public officers possess powers delegated to them by law or vested in them by virtue of their office. These powers may be express, explicitly stated in law, implied, necessarily inferred from other powers, inherent, intrinsic to the office, or delegated, assigned by a higher authority. B duty to serve the public interest. Public officers are duty-bound to act in the best interests of the public and to fulfill their responsibilities with integrity, impartiality, and efficiency. See specific duties of different offices. The duties of public officers vary depending on their position and role in government. Executive officials are responsible for implementing laws and policies. Legislators enact laws, and judges interpret and apply the law in resolving disputes. B to X to follow. Certainly. Let's continue with the elaboration. B accountability and liability of public officers. A constitutional provisions on accountability. Article 11 of the Constitution outlines mechanisms for holding public officers accountable, including the Office of the Ombudsman, which investigates and prosecutes cases of graft and corruption, and the Civil Service Commission, which oversees the conduct and performance of civil servants. B. Administrative and disciplinary measures. Public officers may face administrative sanctions, such as suspension or dismissal, for violations of laws, rules, or ethical standards. The Ombudsman and other agencies have the authority to conduct administrative investigations and impose disciplinary actions. C. Criminal and civil liability. Public officers can be held criminally and civilly liable for misconduct, abuse of power, or violation of rights. They may be subject to criminal prosecution for offenses such as bribery, malversation, or violation of human rights, and may also be held civilly liable for damages resulting from their actions or negligence. 6. Removal and impeachment of public officers. A. Grounds for removal. Public officers may be removed from office for various reasons, including misconduct, incompetence, or violation of their oath of office. The grounds for removal are typically specified in the Constitution or relevant statutes. B. Procedures for impeachment. Impeachment proceedings are initiated in the House of Representatives, which has the sole power to impeach public officials. If impeached, the official faces trial in the Senate, which acts as the impeachment court. Conviction requires a 2/3 vote of the Senate. See effects of impeachment. If convicted in an impeachment trial, the public officer is removed from office and may be disqualified from holding any public office in the future. 7. Ethics and code of conduct for public officers. A. Standards of behavior. Public officers are expected to adhere to high standards of behavior and integrity, including honesty, impartiality, and accountability. They must act in the public interest and avoid conflicts of interest or the appearance of impropriety. B. Conflict of interest rules. Public officers are required to disclose any conflicts of interest and recuse themselves from participating in decisions or actions that may benefit them personally or financially. C. Disclosure of assets and liabilities. Public officers are required to submit declarations of their assets, liabilities, and net worth to promote transparency and prevent corruption. 8. Succession and vacancies in public office. A. Rules for filling vacancies. Procedures for filling vacant public offices vary depending on the position and the circumstances of the vacancy. Vacancies may be filled through appointment by the President or other authorities, or through special elections. B. Order of succession. The Constitution and relevant statutes establish rules for determining the order of succession in cases of vacancy or incapacity in certain offices, such as the presidency or vice presidency. C. Ensuring continuity of government functions. The orderly succession of public officers helps ensure continuity in government operations and prevents disruptions in the delivery of public services. 9 and X to follow. Certainly. Let's proceed with the elaboration. 9. Judicial review of public officer actions. A. Role of the judiciary. The judiciary plays a vital role in interpreting and enforcing public officer law, ensuring that the actions of public officials comply with constitutional and legal requirements. B. Standards of review. Courts apply different standards of review when assessing the constitutionality or legality of public officer actions, depending on the nature of the issue and the rights involved. These standards may include rational basis review, strict scrutiny, or intermediate scrutiny. See constitutional limits. Public officers are subject to constitutional limitations on their powers and actions, including the protection of fundamental rights, the principle of separation of powers, and the rule of law. X. Emerging issues and developments in public officer law. A. Modern challenges and complexities. Changes in technology, society, and governance pose new challenges for public officer law, such as cybersecurity threats, social media use, and evolving public expectations. B. Legislative reforms and proposals. Lawmakers continually review and revise public officer law to address emerging issues, improve transparency and accountability, and enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of government. See impact of global trends. Global trends, such as globalization, climate change, and international cooperation, influence public officer law and governance practices in the Philippines, requiring policymakers to adapt and respond to new challenges and opportunities. In summary, public officer law in the Philippines governs the qualifications, appointment, duties, accountability, and conduct of public officials. It is grounded in constitutional principles, statutory provisions, and judicial decisions aimed at promoting transparency, accountability, and the rule of law in governance. Understanding these principles and mechanisms is essential for ensuring effective and ethical public administration and upholding the public interest.